The world stopped when Ethan's lips met mine. A fierce, unapologetic claim in front of a crowd that stared in stunned silence. I could still feel the heat of their gazes, the whispers slicing through the air like knives. But Ethan's hand on my cheek anchored me, his voice a low growl, mine. That single word shattered every doubt, every fear, and set our story ablaze. San Francisco's Mission District buzzed with life that summer evening. The kind of vibrant chaos where street performers juggled fire and food trucks sold tacos under strings of fairy lights. I, Caleb Nguyen, was just trying to keep up with 2-year-old Lila, who toddled toward a pigeon with the determination of a tiny general. Her giggles were my lifeline, a reminder that I was good at this being her nanny, her protector, even if her parents' friends mistook me for the help. At 25, with my slim build and quiet demeanor, I suppose I didn't scream family to them. But Lila, she was my world, even if I wasn't hers by blood. Ethan Carter, Lila's father, was the opposite of me in every way. Broad-shouldered, with a beard that made him look like he'd stepped out of a lumberjack fantasy. He commanded rooms without trying. He was a tech CEO by day, but to Lila, he was just Dada, the man who built blanket forts and sang off-key lullabies. To me, he was complicated. A single dad since his wife passed 2 years ago, Ethan carried grief like a shadow, but his hazel eyes held a warmth that made my heart stutter every time he looked my way. That night, we were at a neighborhood block party, one of those events where everyone knew Ethan and nobody knew me. Lila clung to my hand, her curls bouncing as she pointed at a balloon artist. "Kay, look. Puppy," she squealed, using her nickname for me. I grinned, kneeling to her level, but my stomach twisted when I overheard a woman nearby mutter, "The babysitter's good with her. But doesn't he know this is a family event?" I froze. Babysitter. The word stung, though it shouldn't have. I'd been Lila's nanny for a year, living in Ethan's sprawling Victorian home, cooking her meals, reading her stories. But I wasn't just the babysitter. I was the one who stayed up late with Ethan after Lila's nightmares, sharing coffee and quiet conversations about life, loss, and dreams. I was the one who noticed the way his laughter softened when I was near, the way his hand lingered when he passed me a mug. "Caleb," Ethan's voice cut through the noise, deep and steady. He stood a few feet away, holding a beer, his eyes locked on mine. "Lila's got you wrapped around her finger, huh?" His smile was teasing, but there was something else there, something that made my pulse race. "Always," I said, standing, brushing grass off my jeans. Lila tugged me toward the balloon artist, and Ethan followed, his presence a quiet storm at my back. The crowd parted for him, as it always did, but I felt the weight of their stares. To them, I was the young Asian guy who worked for Ethan, not the man who'd spent months falling for him, terrified to admit it. The truth was, I'd been in love with Ethan for months, but I'd buried it deep. He was my boss, my straight boss, or so I thought. A widower with a daughter, a life I could never fit into. Yet, every late-night talk, every accidental touch, chipped away at my resolve. I'd catch him watching me sometimes, his gaze lingering too long, and I'd wonder if I was imagining the spark between us. But I was too scared to hope, too aware of the world's judgment. Growing up in a conservative Vietnamese family, I'd learned to hide who I was. Being openly gay in San Francisco was one thing. Falling for a man like Ethan was another. As the sun dipped low, painting the sky in shades of peach and gold, the block party grew louder. A band played folk tunes, and kids ran wild, their laughter echoing. Lila, now armed with a balloon puppy, demanded we dance. I twirled her around, her giggles infectious, and Ethan joined in, lifting her onto his shoulders. For a moment, We were a unit, a makeshift family, and my chest ached with how perfect it felt. Then it happened. A man approached Ethan, clapping him on the shoulder. "Good to see you out, Carter. Lila's lucky to have such a dedicated nanny." His tone was friendly, but the word nanny landed like a slap. I forced a smile, but Ethan's jaw tightened, his eyes darkening. "He's not just the nanny," Ethan said, his voice low but firm. The man blinked, confused, and I felt my face burn. Before I could say anything, Lila pointed at the stage, oblivious to the tension. "Dada, Kay, dance more." Ethan set her down, handing her balloon to a neighbor, and turned to me. "Caleb, come with me." His tone left no room for argument. He led me to the edge of the dance floor, where couples swayed under the lights. My heart pounded as he took my hand, his grip warm and sure. "Ethan," what I started, but he cut me off, pulling me close. The music slowed, a soft acoustic melody wrapping around us. His hand rested on my waist, and I forgot how to breathe. "Dance with me," he said, his voice a quiet command. I nodded, too stunned to speak, and we moved together, the world fading away. His eyes never left mine, and I saw it then, the truth he'd been hiding, the same truth I'd buried. He wasn't just my boss. He was mine, in a way I hadn't dared to dream. The crowd noticed. Whispers rippled, eyes widened, but Ethan didn't flinch. He leaned in, his breath warm against my ear. "I'm done pretending," he said. "You're not the babysitter. You're mine." And then he kissed me. The kiss was a wildfire, burning away every doubt, every fear, every whispered judgment. Ethan's lips were firm, unyielding, and the crowd's gasps faded into nothingness as I melted into him. When he pulled back, his eyes blazed with a fierce promise, and I knew nothing would ever be the same. The block party didn't stop, but it felt like it had. Faces turned toward us, some curious, some shocked, a few openly disapproving. A woman nearby clutched her purse, muttering something about inappropriate. Ethan didn't let go of my hand. Instead, he squeezed it tighter, his thumb brushing over my knuckles, grounding me in the chaos. "Caleb," he said, loud enough for those nearby to hear, "you're not just Lila's nanny. You're part of this family." His voice was steady, but I saw the flicker of vulnerability in his eyes, the fear that I might pull away. I didn't. I couldn't. Lila ran to us, oblivious to the tension, and hugged my legs. "Kay, Dada, more dancing," she demanded, and the crowd's focus shifted, some laughing, others turning away. But the moment wasn't over. As we walked back to Ethan's house, Lila skipping between us, the weight of what had happened settled in. Ethan had kissed me in front of everyone, his neighbors, his colleagues, his world. He'd claimed me, not as a secret, but as a truth. And I was terrified. At home, after Lila was tucked into bed, Ethan found me in the kitchen, washing dishes to keep my hands busy. The house was quiet, the only sound the clink of plates and the hum of the fridge. He leaned against the counter, watching me, his presence filling the room. "Caleb," he said softly, "talk to me." I set down a plate, my hands trembling. "You kissed me. In front of everyone." My voice was barely a whisper, caught between awe and panic. "Why now?" He stepped closer, his boots heavy on the hardwood floor. "Because I'm tired of hiding. I've been falling for you for months, and I thought you'd never see me that way. You're young. You're brilliant. You could have anyone. But every time you're with Lila, every time you laugh with me, I feel alive again. I haven't felt that since." He trailed off, his wife's memory a ghost between us, I swallowed, my throat tight. I thought you were straight. I thought I was just convenient. The nanny who's always here. His laugh was low, almost bitter. Convenient. Caleb, you're the opposite of convenient. You're a storm I didn't see coming. I've spent months trying to figure out what this is, what I am. And tonight, I couldn't pretend anymore. I stared at him, my heart racing. What are you saying? I'm saying I love you, he said, the words raw and unguarded. And I don't care who knows it. The kitchen seemed to shrink, the air thick with possibility. I wanted to say it back, to tell him I'd loved him since the first time he trusted me with Lila, since the nights we stayed up talking about everything and nothing. But fear clawed at my fear of what this meant, of the world outside, of the family I'd left behind who'd never accept this. Before I could speak, Ethan's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, his face darkening. It's my sister, Rachel, he said, answering. I caught snippets of her voice, sharp and urgent. When he hung up, he looked grim. She's coming over tomorrow, he said. She heard about tonight. She's not happy. Rachel Carter was Ethan's older sister, a lawyer with a sharp tongue and a protective streak. She'd always been polite to me, but distant, like she didn't quite trust me with her brother's life. Now, I realized, she'd be a hurdle we couldn't ignore. The next morning, Rachel arrived, her heels clicking on the porch like a warning. Lila was at daycare, leaving the house too quiet. Rachel didn't waste time. Ethan, what the hell was that last night? She demanded, barely glancing at me. Kissing the nanny in public. Do you know what people are saying? He's not the nanny, Ethan snapped, his voice low but dangerous. He's Caleb. And I love him. Rachel's eyes widened, then narrowed as she turned to me. And you? You're okay with this? Dragging my brother into whatever this is. I opened my mouth, but no words came. Ethan stepped between us, his hand on my shoulder. Don't put this on him. This is my choice. Our choice. Rachel's gaze softened, but only slightly. Ethan, you're a father. A widower. People talk. This could hurt Lila. Your career. Everything. I don't care about the talk, Ethan said. I care about my family. And Caleb is part of it. The room fell silent, the weight of his words sinking in. Rachel left soon after, promising to think about it, but her disapproval lingered like smoke. That night, as Ethan and I sat on the couch, Lila asleep upstairs, I finally found my voice. I love you too, I said, the words spilling out. But I'm scared. My family, they'd never accept this. And the world out there. It's not as kind as you think. Ethan pulled me close, his arms a fortress. We'll face it together, he said. You, me, and Lila. Whatever comes. The weeks that followed were a tightrope walk between bliss and chaos. Ethan and I were together, truly together, and every touch, every stolen kiss, felt like a victory. But the world outside our home wasn't as forgiving. Whispers followed use at Lila's daycare, at Ethan's office, even at the grocery store. The CEO and his nanny, they'd say, as if our love was a scandal to be dissected. Lila, bless her, didn't notice. She'd draw pictures of Dada and Kay, 3 stick figures holding hands, and my heart would swell and break at the same time. Ethan was steadfast, introducing me as his partner at every chance, but I saw the strain in his eyes. He was fighting for us, but the battle was taking its toll. One evening, as we tucked Lila into bed, she looked up at me with her big brown eyes. Kay, Are you my daddy too? She asked, her voice small but serious. I froze, my chest tight. Ethan, sitting on the edge of her bed, took my hand. Caleb's part of our family. Sweetheart, he said, his voice gentle but firm. He loves you, and I love him. That makes us a team. Lila nodded, satisfied, and snuggled into her pillow. But her question lingered, a reminder of the stakes. I wasn't just risking my heart. I was stepping into a family, a life, that demanded courage I wasn't sure I had. The real test came at Ethan's company gala, a black tie event at a downtown hotel. He insisted I come as his date, not his employee. I wore a tailored suit, feeling like an imposter among the tech elite. But Ethan's hand on my lower back steadied me. You belong here, he whispered, and I wanted to believe him. But the room was a minefield. Colleagues smiled politely, but their eyes darted, calculating. A board member, a silver-haired man named Richard, cornered Ethan during cocktails. Bold move, Carter, he said, glancing at me. What is this? Sustainable. For the company's image. Ethan's jaw clenched. My personal life isn't your concern, Richard. Caleb's my partner, and that's not changing. Richard raised an eyebrow, but backed off. Later, as we danced, Ethan's grip was tighter, his smile strained. I'm sorry, he murmured. I didn't think it'd be this hard. It's worth it, I said, and I meant it. But doubt gnawed at me. Was I worth it? Could I handle the scrutiny, the judgment, for him and Lila? The breaking point came a week later. My phone rang in the middle of the night, my mother's name flashing on the screen. I hadn't spoken to her in months, not since I'd come out and she'd told me I was confused. Her voice was sharp, cutting through the dark. Caleb, I heard you're with a man. A widower. Is this true? I sat up, my heart pounding. Yes, Mom. I love him. Her silence was deafening. You're throwing your life away, she said finally. Your father's ashamed. We didn't raise you for this. The call ended, and I sat there, numb. Ethan found me on the couch, staring at nothing. He didn't ask what happened. He just pulled me into his arms, letting me break against him. I'm here, he said, over and over, until I believed it. But the world kept pushing. Rachel called again, this time softer, but still insistent. Ethan, think about Lila, she said. This isn't just about you. What happens when she's older? When kids at school talk? Ethan's response was fierce. Lila will grow up knowing love is love. And Caleb's not going anywhere. I wanted to believe we could weather it all, the gossip, the family drama, the societal pressure. But doubt was a poison, and it was spreading. That night, as Ethan slept beside me, I lay awake, wondering if love was enough. The storm broke on a rainy Saturday, when Lila's daycare called. A parent had complained, saying it was inappropriate for Ethan and me to be so open about our relationship in front of the kids. The director was apologetic but firm. We needed to tone it down or find another daycare. Ethan was furious, ready to fight, but I saw the exhaustion in his eyes. He was battling for us on every front, and I couldn't shake the fear that I was the reason his life was unraveling. That afternoon, I sat in Lila's room, watching her play with her stuffed animals. She looked up at me, her smile bright. "Kay, you stay forever, right?" she asked, and my throat closed. I wanted to promise her the world, but the weight of my mother's words, the daycare's ultimatum, Rachel's warning sit was too much. That night, I told Ethan I needed space. His face fell, but he nodded, his voice quiet. If that's what you need, Caleb. But I'm not giving up on us. I moved into a friend's apartment, telling myself it was temporary, that I just needed to breathe. But every day without Ethan and Lila felt like a piece of me was missing. I'd see a kid with a balloon and think of her giggles, or smell coffee and remember our late-night talks. I was free, but I was hollow. A week later, Ethan showed up at my friend's door, rain-soaked and determined. Caleb, he said, his voice breaking. I don't care what the world thinks. I don't care about the gossip, the daycare, any of it. I need you. Lila needs you. You're our family. Tears stung my eyes. I'm scared, Ethan. I don't want to ruin your life. You're not ruining it, he said, stepping closer. You're saving it. I was drowning before you. Lila was my light. But you're my reason to keep going. He pulled me into his arms, and I let myself fall, the rain washing away my doubts. We stood there, holding each other, until the world felt small and conquerable. The next day, we faced the daycare together. Ethan spoke with a calm authority, refusing to back down. Lila stays, he said. And Caleb's my partner. If you can't handle that, we'll find somewhere that can. To my surprise, the director backed off, promising to address the complaint internally. Rachel came around too, slowly. She invited us to dinner, her way of making peace. I was wrong, she admitted, watching Lila draw another picture of Dada and Kay. You two, you're good for each other. And for her. My family was harder. I wrote to my mother, pouring out my heart, telling her about Ethan, Lila, and the life we were building. She didn't respond, but I held on to hope. Love, I realized, wasn't just about acceptance. It was about fighting for what mattered, even when it hurt. Months later, at another block party, Ethan and I danced under the same fairy lights, Lila twirling between us. The whispers were fewer now, the stares softer. When Ethan kissed me, the crowd didn't gasp. Some even cheered. Mine, he whispered, and I smiled, knowing I was his, and he was mine, in a world we'd made our own. Our love wasn't perfect, but it was ours fierce, flawed, and unbreakable. And as Lila grabbed our hands, laughing, I knew we'd built something worth every battle, a family, bound not by blood, but by choice, love, and the courage to be seen.